Tasting like a boss. I have Dustin Henderson here on a beautiful Super Bowl Sunday. It's actually a little bit later in the morning than I wanted to do this. The sun's a little intense. It's actually warming up. I think the summer's gonna be rough, guys, for us in Florida. Anyway, today's review, guys, is going to be for my company I review all the time, it seems, and that is Bones Coffee Company, but it is their breakfast blend. Now, for those who do not know, I think most of you do, because a lot of my subscribers are Bones Coffee fans. I can tell it in the comments. Bones is a company out of Cape Coral, Florida, and they're really known for their flavored coffees and their great graphics on all their bags. You know, very unique flavor names, graphics, and just good coffee. I like most of their stuff a lot. I've reviewed almost everything they have. About 9 months ago, I reviewed something called Dragon's Lair, which was just the name that they gave to their dark roast blend. This is like the other side of the spectrum. This is their breakfast blend, so it's gonna be a lighter roast. Now, I had to go back and look at my review of Dragon's Lair because I finished that bag very quickly after I did the review because it was really good. And I found that though it was a dark roast, it was more like a dark to medium roast. It wasn't as dark roasted as other coffees I've had. And that's okay, it occupied its own space. But why I say that is because if I look at the gauge here that they have, the little skeleton hand, this shows that it's a little bit past medium to dark roast. The other one was all the way to the gauge at dark. So I'm thinking this might, if this, you know, the way they test is consistent, this is probably gonna be a little bit less. It's probably gonna be right in the nose medium is what I'm guessing based upon that. So it's a really cool cover on the front, you know. It's got the little designs there on the side, obviously. The origin is a little bit different because the beans for this come from Central and South America. Whereas for Dragon's Lair, though you had the American beans as well, you also had Indonesian beans. And so the source is going to be a little bit different. The tasting notes on this, per them, is going to be chocolate, honey, and dried fruit. And I have two friends in particular that apparently they really like more of the light to medium roast stuff. So I'm really kind of doing this for them because, I don't know, maybe they'll like this. I really don't know. So we're gonna be doing it in a three-way review. We're gonna be doing it in the cold brew. And yeah, I got the Bones cold brew cup. Oh, it's like I've got, see, matches up. I got the Bones cold brew there, cold brew for 24 hours. I have really being consistent here. I got the Bones drip mug, love that one. And we're going to be doing it in espresso in these really cool tasting cups that Boss got me last year. Oh, you licking my hand? You licking my hand? All right, let's get into this. Let's get into the smelling first. You seem to want to smell. What do you think? Huh, okay. The fruit scents really come out. Hey, jumping down. The fruit scents really come out on this. Coffee notes are there, very light. It's a really good scent. Let me show you the beans, what I'm talking about. You know, early on in these reviews, I would talk about how beans would look chalkier. Oftentimes that's because they were medium roast, right? Light to medium roast. The lighter they are. So they're a little bit chalkier. The more you roast the bean, the more dark and waxy they become. And that's actually my faves when they're dark and waxy. I just always assumed that if you had dark roast coffee, this would be higher in caffeine, right? It just seems like it has more of a kick to it. That's just not the case. The lighter the roast, the more caffeine the bean has. Now, whether or not that's a significant difference, I really don't know. I'm not that far into the roasting method, but that's something that I've learned. So don't just think that because you're getting a medium to light roast that you're skipping on the caffeine, because apparently the opposite is true. So let's get to the tasting. Got the cold brew here. Actually, a little bit of a scent off the cold brew, which is not massively common, right? Because, you know, typically you don't smell anything off a cold brew. Tasting like a boss. Okay. I really like that. Like, I really like that. If you've checked out enough of my reviews, you know that I lean heavier on the dark roast. I really do prefer dark roast. I find breakfast blends to be something I can tolerate, and I'll point out, oh, this is a good breakfast blend if you like breakfast blends, and then I tell you that I don't really like breakfast blends. This is, okay, well, I think I have found a breakfast blend coffee that I really, really enjoy in cold brew. Like, really enjoy. I think my assumptions were wrong going into this review, because I really felt that the roasting was a little wrong here. I thought for a breakfast blend, it was gonna be medium or medium to light. But it's the fact that the gauge is a little bit further over, I think kind of represents the truth of the matter, at least based upon the flavor dynamics I'm getting, because I'm still getting more earthiness. The brighter notes, though they are there, really, I mean, as advertised on there, am I getting the chocolate notes? Yeah, and honey, yeah, and dried fruit, yeah, absolutely. And what I mean by that is the dried fruit, usually when they lean on the fruity side or the fruit notes, my taste buds, my palate registers that as kind of sour, right? Which is not what I want in coffee. I don't know if that's just a genetic thing, but that's the way it goes. But for me, I'm not getting sour notes at all. I'm getting a brightness, but in the best way possible. That's a really high grade coffee. So I can't imagine these are just their beans they use for flavoring, because that would be a damn shame. These must be other beans, I would hope, because that flavor on that coffee is better than expected. Okay, well, we've talked and waxed poetic enough about the cold brew. As you might as well drink the whole cup, I guess. But guys, that's really good. If you guys are Bones fans and you've only gone with the flavored coffees, now that I've had both Dragon's Lair and Breakfast Blend, I really strongly suggest you get both. Use your Dragon's Lair ones flavors when you're wanting to, or Dragon's Lair coffee when you're wanting to add chocolate notes and darker notes to your coffee if you're wanting to add flavor, or just have it by itself. Use the Breakfast Blend if you're trying to add more of your lighter, your caramel flavors, things of that nature, if you're trying to flavor it. But for me, I don't need to flavor this cold brew at all. All right, that's enough on that. Can't have a 30-minute video. Let's move on to Bones Drip Breakfast Blend. Has a good scent. I mean, nothing remarkable. It's just a nice coffee scent. It smells more dynamic and fun in the bag than it does in the brew. Tasting like a boss. That's really good as well. Much like the Dragon's Lair, I'm still going to prefer it in cold brew, but again, I think that kind of lends more to what I prefer in general anyway, because I do like cold brew coffee more. But again, this is I use this example all the time. If you're at a hotel, right, and you go down in the morning to get some coffee, most of the time it's either or okay, whatever. Very rarely you're gonna have a coffee, where you ask, what is this, because I want to know. That's where this is. You're still gonna have some sour notes on your drip. Just understand that it does truly taste like a breakfast blend, but a darker breakfast blend that I'm used to. The fruit notes and the honey notes are a little bit stronger here. The chocolate notes are pushed down in comparison to the cold brew, and therefore it'll lean a little more on the sour, at least on my palate, which again is not what I prefer. So I'm really going to be doing it in the cold brew, but I also know that this is a good coffee if I'm going to have it for drip. But let's be real, I'm not going to be giving this to Boss of Boss because it's not decaffeinated, and I'm going to be using the rest of the bag. So far, I'm not going to be using the drip anymore. I'm just going to be using cold brew because I want to maximize my pleasure, right? But for those who like drip, it's definitely a very good cup of coffee. Let's move over to the espresso. Again, I can't stress this enough. Just because coffee doesn't work in all three formats doesn't mean it's a bad coffee. But you have those coffees which do. I find that the ones who really excel in all three formats are ones that are going to be dark or roast. So in that regard, maybe it's set up for failure. But here we have the breakfast blend in the espresso. The honey notes are very extreme. It's the dominant note in the scent. Fruit a little bit lower, coffee even below that. Tasting like a boss. Well, I was wrong. I was really wrong. That's very good in the espresso format. You're not going to get the bitterness, the earthiness of your espresso, okay? It's just remember, we're espresso brewing it. So for me, it's going to be cold brew. The two glass vessels, cold brew and the espresso, I give those A's. I give those, I give them A's. We're going to hold off on the A+, okay? Come on, breakfast blend, you're not getting an A+ from me. But in the drip, I give it a solid B+, B. The least preferred method to have it is going to be in the drip for me. But cold brew, definitely going to be great. Again, probably the best. I'd have to go back. I've reviewed a lot of coffees, guys, but this is right up there, if not the best breakfast blend on a cold brew I've had in a long time. And on the espresso here, it's really, really quite good. It's even, you know, it doesn't become sour. I don't know how that happens. I don't know why the sour notes came out more in the drip than the espresso, but this is really, really tasty. All right, well, hey, Dustin, you getting a little hot out here? You panting? See, you should have stayed here on my lap. You would have been all kind of in the shade, right? Yeah, we have to think about our choices. We do. All right. Anyway, guys, you know, I was looking back, and as I was doing my research on Dragon's Lair, which we did the review on like about 9 months ago, you know, we were at just 500 subscribers, or right around 500 subscribers. We're sitting here now, I think, around 730 subscribers. And that may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but you know what? For a channel that's really focused on tasting coffee and you know, hot sauces from time to time and having fun, it was more than I ever thought we would have. So I just want to say thank you so much. So if you haven't added us as a subscriber, please do. Hit subscribe, like, share, hit your alerts. Hopefully you enjoy these videos. I have some other ones coming up. And I'm probably going to put a link to the Dragon's Lair review in the description so it's easy for people to jump to. And when you're trying to search stuff, if you're not a subscriber, you know, just type in Tasting Like a Boss and whatever type of coffee you're looking for, and it might be there. And if it's not, send me a comment and ask me to review a coffee. And then finally, before I say goodbye, to Coffee Joe, I know I owe you a review. You asked for Mint Invaders. And the first time I did that was so long ago that I didn't do it correctly. So I will get to that. I promise I will. And for some other people who've made some requests, I'm going to get to them. I promise. But anyway, have a great Super Bowl. Don't care who you guys are rooting for. I know who I am, but I'm not going to become divisive. If it was my way, it would be the Dolphins winning, right? But of course, they got to get to a Super Bowl again. All right, until next time, people, thank you for all your support. Thanks for going on this taste journey, and keep tasting like a boss. Thanks so much.